When you were a little kid, did anyone ever tell you you were being watched all the time? Maybe your parents said that they could always see you, or God was always watching. If you open the website Opentopia, you could potentially find yourself looking back at you. Opentopia was the first website to capture unprotected cameras across the globe. Through Opentopia and the resultant, albeit unrelated streams that emerged during the early to mid-2000s, your very world may be the target for anyone to watch. In 1969, the ARPANET project, initiated by the United States Department of Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, created interconnecting academic and military networks across the United States. Transmission Control Protocols, or TCPs, and Internet Protocols, IPs, created interconnecting networks, which led to the modern representation of the Internet as we know it today. At its best, the Internet is a hyper-connected system allowing individuals to access information and resources regardless of place or time. The early prototypes of webcams first originated in the 1980s and 1990s. During this period, the webcam was not visualized as we now know it. It was instead an experimental system that focused on static images. The first more broadly known webcam was the Trojan Room Coffee Pot of 1991. The Trojan Room Coffee Pot, which was developed at the University of Cambridge, is considered the world's first webcam. These original webcams had grayscale images that only filtered at 1 frame per second and were shared across a university network. The primary aim was to monitor a coffee pot in a different room. Early commercial webcams were introduced during the mid-1990s. Models such as 1994 Kinetics QuickCam were some of the first commercial webcams that individuals could purchase. These webcams connected to serial or parallel ports and were typically featured by poor frame rates compared to today's offering. By the late 90s to the early 2000s, webcams were more frequently used for video conferencing, streaming, and surveillance. As of 2024, webcam interconnectivity and availability are significant high-quality videos, which are available in various applications directly at our fingertips, such as Teams or Zoom. However, as many of us probably know, webcams are readily available. And not only that, you can buy a camera at any point to surveil your home for privacy reasons. The COVID-19 pandemic needs little to no introduction here. I am sure we are all very aware of this particular event and have either experienced catastrophic losses or at the very least memories of loneliness and fear. A quick overview of available YouTube channels show a variety of videos talking about various sites that are disturbing, nefarious, or just creepy to look at. A recently viewed Nick Crawley video was my first exposure to Opentopia. After viewing Opentopia for more than a few minutes, I had only one question. Who the fuck runs this website? Okay, let's take a brief trip down memory lane. Let's look at the timeline of Opentopia that I have constructed based on the research and the data I have available. In 2004, Opentopia starts to become a more noticeable phenomenon on the internet. In 2014, we see the webmaster, who I will talk about. And as of 2024, Opentopia remains open. Now, let's go to 2004 when we see Opentopia. In 2004, Opentopia is a webcam-focused website. So, who owns Pentopia? Searching the domain ownership, we find that the ownership links us to a masked owner with a listing in Arizona and a United States zip code. The particular address leads us to a suite of offices in Arizona and a link to a potential 3D print site or home-owned business. I'm not sure. To my knowledge, the phone numbers link to a potential scam and ghost phone. I have returned down this path several times, but to my best assertion, it is a masked address and phone, which is most likely for an individual who would want to own or operate a site like Opentopia. Okay, wait. How does this even happen? Look, you need to know this information, and there's a lot of you who are not going to wait till the end of the video, but I'm going to share it because why else talk about this? A substantial number of webcams are unprotected across the United States. Partially, this is just because individuals' ignorance regarding technology. However, there is a gray area in blaming people who want to be protected for not fully knowing how to protect themselves. For those of you watching this, it is very important to understand what an unprotected webcam is and how this affects you. Lack of protection within a webcam allows an individual to potentially control or view the webcam. Now, the most common reasons are credentialing, which is using a password that you repeat across everything. A password with a commonplace name and numbers such as 1234. Even if you think your password is secure, stop this video and go update it right now. Failure to update passwords and your firmware can lead to significant vulnerabilities. And let me tell you right now, most webcam sites are not as nice as the one that we are talking about today. An unauthorized webcam can be attacked by anybody, an individual hacker, a bored teenager, hacking groups, or just somebody who thinks that maybe pointing this out will bring some sort of social awareness. Hackers can hijack webcams, and they can include them in botnets, which allow them to have a wider range of view over a particular area, and also to complete larger attacks, such as a DDoS attack. If you have firmware that is needed to update your webcam, stop this video, go do that right now. Make sure that your Wi-Fi and your password encryption is safe. A 2014 blog, A Little Bit of History, highlights the mastermind of Opentopia. Offered is a series of blog post recommendations regarding their success as the first website of any kind using webcam footage like you see today. Flemming highlights the value of notifying others of the privacy risks while emphasizing that Opentopia does not operate via hacking, but instead by accessing what is already made so freely available by you. Okay, with the name Flemming Funch, who is this person? The name Flemming Funch actually leads us to a blog post from the Wayback Machine as none other than Ming the Mechanic. I know, the circus is getting a little packed. Ming the Mechanic is none other than Flemming Funch, who has been, based on his own blogs, a dev for about 30 years. He also has a myriad of interests, not only limited to Opentopia. Most notably, he appears to be interested in higher level thinking, physics, metaphysics, 3D printing, and philosophy, which is not a seemingly nefarious thing to do. What I do know after a few days of researching is that Opentopia is or was owned or co-owned by Flemming Funch. But I find no direct evidence of collaborators, only a masked domain. The ghost data leads us to a place that does not seem to have a connection with Funch, only insofar as he is mentioning that he has visited California, potentially lived there, and has an interest in 3D printing. The only connection there is that the ghost address in Arizona does link to a 3D printing place. However, it is unclear to me, and frankly, after some investigating, it does not seem like these are connected. It seems to me that these are a purposely placed dead end, which is a very smart thing to do, and something that you would do if you had 30 years of programming. What I do know is that after 2014, Funch does not appear online like he had. Now, don't panic. As of a year ago, he was on YouTube having what appears to be a friendly chat with a close friend. But I do know that I'm very curious about that gap after 2014. I want to know who runs, who mods, who maintains Opentopia. I actually reached out to the webmaster of Opentopia for comment and interview. Now, I did not reach out to Flemming's Facebook or his YouTube appearance. The reason for that, ironic as it may seem, is a respect for this individual's privacy and ability to seemingly go on about their life outside of what they have created. Furthermore, I wanted to contact whoever is the webmaster of Opentopia, and I'm not sure that it is still Flemming. However, I'm not sure that Flemming is not involved. After reaching out, I did not receive a response, a non-answer which leads us to acknowledge the, again ironic, potential request for privacy. Look, maybe the webmaster is Flemming, and he didn't respond because Opentopia is a social experiment. Maybe he serves as some sort of Robin Hood of sorts for privacy, existing in some sort of paradoxical early internet age, and who has since decided to move on with his life and spend time with his family. Or does someone else run Opentopia? While Funch has not tried to hide himself, at least not apparently, given his dev skills, he has not been openly discussing Opentopia since seemingly 2014. What I will say is that when I myself perused Opentopia, I did not see any overt issues besides the main one that we are talking about. I did not see children. I did see a dog, which was very cute, a car. I got to look at Japan and Norway and places that I would maybe never be able to see. During the COVID pandemic, we were hungry for this connection, and I can absolutely see how people would be drawn to look at this. I have been lonely. We have all been lonely. And potentially seeing these things can make someone feel better. Maybe it could even save someone's life. However, at the same time, in the sake of offering a truly unbiased perspective, I would argue that the lack of nefarious activity insofar as seeing a child or maybe someone's very private home does not inherently indicate that the site isn't nefarious. Sure, Opentopia may have been released using data that individuals have not prevented via proper safekeeping purposes, but there's a systematic issue there as well. How well are people taught about technology? There's a growing digital divide, and it's even growing amongst our younger community members, with people of an older age having better protective processes. In my opinion, that unanswered question, as well as the lack of knowledge regarding the owners of Opentopia, is really the most problematic component of Opentopia itself. If Flemming Funch can do this, if someone that you've never heard of can go and access a camera that is completely unprotected, and other people can do this, openly attempting to do so through hacking and accessing your password, what do you think our government can do?